Hi there, and welcome to the How to Market Your Horse Business podcast. I'm so glad you're joining me here today. As you've likely guessed by now, my name is Denise Alvarez, and before we dive into some simple sales strategies for your equestrian business, I'm going to briefly introduce myself just in case we're new friends, and then we will dive right in. Now, as I said, my name is Denise, and I get to host you here on the podcast. And through my business, Storm Lily Marketing, I also get to help dream-chasing horse business owners to ditch the marketing overwhelm, get the clarity they've been craving, and grow their business in a way that meets their definition of success. Now, I do this primarily through business and marketing coaching, and then education, such as this podcast and some online learning resources as well. All that I do here is so that you, as an equestrian entrepreneur, can be out in the barn or the arena or the round pen or behind the computer, behind the camera lens, wherever it is you are serving the equine industry. I want to help you do more of that. And so here on the podcast, you'll get a mix of step-by-step strategies, essential how-tos, and entrepreneurial mindset shifts that will help you not only see what's possible for your business, but I'm also here to guide you through that process so you can make it happen. And today we're doing that by way of continuing the conversation on sales. Last week in episode number 168, I had Piper Klim from the Plaid Horse on the podcast, and we talked about some sales boosting strategies and mindset shifts that every equestrian entrepreneur needs. And so if you have not listened to that episode, I'd encourage you to do that. You can go to stormlily.com/168. That's storm, LILY.com/168, or you're welcome to go to today's show notes. Since it is episode 169, the way it works is every episode number is how you find the show notes. So just go to stormlily.com/169 and you'll be able to find the highlights from today's conversation as well as a link to my conversation with Piper. Now, on Piper's episode, she shared through the lens of sales as relationship building, which is so key. And today we're going to go a bit further and get into the real practical application of those things and what that can look like. Because for many horse business owners, when you think of sales, you think of the word pushy or salesy. I hear that often. I don't want to sound too pushy and I don't want to feel salesy. Now, last week, I used the analogy of a used car salesman because a lot of people have that ick factor that makes them feel awkward as soon as they start selling. And you often wonder, is it even possible for sales to feel natural for people that hate selling? The good news is yes, and I'm going to show you how with 3 simple ways that you can sell more without feeling salesy. These tips are going to help you to sell more confidently on social media, on your website, via email marketing, and even in person. So let's dive in. Grab your notepad or head to the show notes. I'm going to give you 3 tips, 3 simple ways. Number 1, sell from a place of service. I want you to remember that selling is not about pushing. The best salespeople are not pushing people into sales because they're thinking long-term. Instead, they have a long-term vision, and so they're thinking about serving their people. And here's the great news. When you have a product or a service that you believe in, that you know is helping people in some way, that will benefit them, that will add value to their lives, then you're going to be able to share about it knowing that it's helping. And so when you are selling, you're actually serving them in that way. And so that removes some of that ick factor because you're standing behind something that you know is going to really help people. And so how do you do this in a practical way? How do you sell while still serving? Well, you look for ways to provide value before you even make the ask. That's how you let them know that you're there to serve and not just because you're there for a dollar sign. And so especially when it comes to social media and email marketing, I want you to consider the 80-20 rule. You've heard it in plenty of other ways. It's also known as the Pareto principle. And 80% of your content in this container is going to be value add, and 20% is going to be selling. Okay, so when you look at your social media feed, I want you to see, are you adding value to people or are you just selling? all the time. And if you're just selling all the time and you're wondering why isn't anyone buying, that could be why. They've possibly turned you off because you're really there for yourself rather than to serve them. Okay, so look for ways you can add value in your social media and your email marketing, and then make the ask. The reason value is so important is it helps you to build trust with your audience. And as you do that, as you provide them with quick wins, as you provide them with solutions, as you provide them with outfit ideas. So if you're somebody that's saying, Denise, I make apparel, how do I add value? 100% you can do that because you can give them ideas and inspiration for how they can pair some of their outfits together. That can be valuable. I mean, you can get very creative with how you're adding value without just selling. A super practical real life example for you is Ryan Rose, who was on my podcast just a few weeks ago. He was talking about YouTube and his YouTube strategy, and you heard him talk about how his free YouTube content is truly valuable. It's not just a snippet and says, go buy this thing. It's say, let me add value to them. Let me build trust. Let me serve them. And as I do that, I know it's going to increase the likelihood that they will convert to being a paid member because they've seen that what I'm teaching them works. They've seen the testimonials. They've learned a thing or two. They went home and tried it and they experienced a win, and that added value and it built trust. And so you can do that as well in your business. Now, another way that you can look at this is when I have Take the Reins coaching clients that connect with me and say, hey, I'd like to learn more about coaching. And so we get on a Zoom call. And so if you go to my Take the Reins page, you will see there's an application there. It's super brief, but just helps you to understand if Take the Reins is for you or not. And the next step is for us to get on a Zoom call to make sure that we both agree it's a good fit for you. But that call is not just about selling the service. I'm truly there to help my potential coaching clients understand what's missing in their business. What are some places where they've struggled with marketing? And are there some ways they can turn it around? Is coaching a fit for them? But also, as we're talking, if I have an idea and they're saying this has really been a struggle and I write down like this could work or they should try this, I don't hold that back. I'm saying, hey, while you're here, while I have you, I want you to think about this. What would happen if you tried it this way? And I will share it because it's a way to add value to them. Whether they buy or not, I want them to know that I am for them, I am for their horse business, and I'm here to serve and help them. And I'm cheering for them. And I do that by way of adding value. And then if we both decide it's a great fit and they book, they know I'm already invested in helping them win and helping them succeed in their business. So I want you to remember to go into selling as serving. Sell from a place of service. All right, number 2, the next way you're going to sell more is by understanding buyer psychology. Now stay with me here, okay? Many of you are saying, Denise, I understand equine psychology, but buyers, I'm checking out. Please don't check out, okay? The goal here is for you to focus on understanding your audience. And the key to understanding buyer psychology is to understand the buyer journey. So I'm going to give you the 3 phases of the buyer journey, okay, and break it down. Super simple, I promise. Awareness of the problem, consideration of the solution, and the decision of how they're going to solve it. Okay, so knowing that everyone is in one of those phases when it comes to your sales process, I want you to remember that some people may not yet be aware of the problem that you solve because they may not be aware that they have that problem. And so your job in the sales process is first to bring awareness and highlight the problem that they have that you're going to help them solve. Because imagine if someone is in the problem awareness phase and you start trying to press them to make a decision to buy your products or your services, that's when it begins to feel pushy and it begins to feel salesy. Because if they're not even aware that they have a problem and you're trying to sell, they don't feel heard, right? They just feel sold to. They don't feel cared for. And that's an ick factor moment because it has become more about you and your need to make money than it has become about them and serving them. So instead, what you do is first bring awareness to the problems. And you can do this in your social media content. You can do this in your email marketing. You can do this on your website. You can even do this on in-person conversations when you're at an expo. Focus first on the problem they're experiencing and really remember you're there to understand what they're experiencing. Ask what they've already tried that hasn't worked. Why hasn't it worked for them? And then if it's a right fit, then you can offer them your product or your service and you can tell them about it. You can give them an incentive to help them to make the decision. All of those things can help with sales. But if you don't come at it from a point of remembering they are all in a process, they're all on a journey to becoming your customer, sales will feel salesy. Because the thing I want you to remember is since you've already settled that you're here to serve, that ick factor, that external pressure that you're both feeling is going to be removed because they're going to know, they're going to feel the authenticity of why you're there. And you're going to already have it settled that that's why you're there. And then the conversation will happen naturally. And because you're already passionate, because you already know that you're serving when you sell also because you have something that will help them, then it will just remove that salesy feeling. Now, I actually did a podcast episode that is all about the buyer's journey, and I walked you through each phase and talked through how you can create social media content for each phase of the buyer's journey. And so I encourage you to go listen, write this down because we still have one more sales strategy to get through. But I want you to go listen to episode number 123. The title is Get More Sales on Social Media When You Create Content Like This. And I walked you through each stage of the journey and social media content you can create for each one. So of course, I'll have that in the show notes as well for you. Okay, let's move on to step number 3, or I'm sorry, not step, but way number 3. The third way that you can sell more without feeling salesy is to make it easy. For some of you, people are ready to buy, but you have made the process to buy from you so complicated that they leave because it takes too much energy and too much thought to actually make the purchase. Maybe it's on your website. It's hard to know where to go. The call to action is not clear. Do I book a discovery call? Do I have to pay a deposit first? Do I fill out the contact form? What do they need from me to get started? If you don't make that clear, they're not going to do the work for you. Okay? So I want you to ask yourself, look at social media. Is it clear? Now, I will tell on myself in this instance because before I used to say your link in social media, especially on Instagram, your link should be something that's a free resource. Make it very easy for them to just go there, get the email address, and then continue the conversation. And then I was humbled because I had somebody reach out and say, hey, Denise, I see that you have a free resource, but I just wanted to get to your website to learn more about what you do. Can you send me that link? Well, they should not have to go through the work to send me a message and say, do you have the website link? That was a fault of mine. And it's been years since that happened, but I learned from that. And so I was making it too difficult for people. And so what are some ways that you can evaluate on social media at the expo that you're hosting a booth at or at the event that you're going to? What are some ways you can make it easy to buy? I want you to look at how many steps are in the buying process for people. Where can you simplify it? Is the form really long and it needs to be shortened? Or is the form so simple, you actually need to add some other qualifiers in there that helps to filter them out and get the right people in the door? How can you make the process to work with you so seamless that it's actually enjoyable? Now, I have another real life example for you. One of my clients is Hayes Kofel Performance Horses. They are in Canada, and they are a dealer there for Bob's Custom Saddles. And so to remove barriers to entry, to qualify their leads, and to make the buying process as simple as possible, we built a landing page to showcase why they love Bob's, why their customers love Bob's, why it's a great saddle, and what the process is for getting a custom saddle with them. And then we even included right there on that page is an ordering form for people to go ahead and fill out the things that they know they want on their custom saddle. Now, again, if you go back to the name, it's Bob's Custom Saddles. So people are ordering a custom saddle here. So yes, there are a number of questions on the form. It's easy to complete though. Like we've tested it, we've done it on mobile, right? It's simple and easy to complete. And when they complete it, it actually is simplifying the process of ordering for them so that when they get on the phone with Lindsay, then they are ready to complete the next step in the process. It makes the conversation simple. It makes the invoicing process simple. And it has simplified the process for both sides so that the process of ordering a custom saddle doesn't have to be complicated. So I want to encourage you to look at your buying process and how can you make it easy for your potential customers to become your customers. Now, one of the other ways that you can make it easy is by knowing your audience. Because when you know your audience well, then you can ask yourself questions about them that they're probably going to be asking, right? You can kind of get into their brain, so to speak. And so one of the ways that you can do that, I walk you through in my free marketing guide. And so I want to encourage you, if you have not grabbed my free marketing success guide, that first step is going to be focused on getting to know your audience well. Because from that, you can serve them well. And from that, you can create a seamless process and you can create content that gets the right people in the door. So if you go to stormlily.com/success, it's LILY.com as a reminder, then you can get my free guide. It is 4 steps to successfully market your horse business, even if you get horses more than marketing. Because as I told you in the intro, my heart is to help you as an equestrian entrepreneur do more of what you love to do. And so you're here because you're saying, Denise, I want to market my business well, and I love and get horses. I don't always love and get marketing. I know that. So I'm breaking it down for you and making it doable. Okay. So go get that free guide because I want you to remember selling does not have to feel salesy. Just like Piper Klim told us last week on episode 168, in order to build that muscle, you have to put in the reps. So I believe you can do it. And so what I want you to do is focus on these simple strategies. I want you to focus on what you learned with Piper Klim in that episode, and then learn from every experience. It's really not as simple as the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. You need to do it more and then learn what went well, what didn't, improve, and the next time you will be better. And you'll continue to build that confidence muscle and you'll continue to be able to serve and sell simultaneously. All right, I thank you so much for joining me here today. I know this was a power-packed episode, so make sure you go to the show notes. And like I said, you're going to get a highlight of what I shared with you here. And make sure we're connected on social media because I would love to be able to cheer for you that way. So if we're not connected, find me there and make sure you're subscribed because I continue to be meeting some of the coolest people in the equestrian world and bringing them to you here on the podcast so you can learn from them as well. All right. Thanks so much for joining. Share with a friend. Join me here next week. Have an amazing day.